Once upon a time, a smart, curious girl named Layla moved to a new town with her family. Her family's car rumbled down streets painted in cheerful colors. Sunflowers and wind chimes decorated the houses, and all the neighbors waved at each other warmly. Everything seemed perfect. Peaceful, quiet, colorful, friendly. Yeah, maybe a little too friendly. Hello, my dear. Moving in today, right? A woman asked her neighbor while watering her petunias. Yes, said Layla's mom, smiling politely. I'm Layla's mom, by the way. Oh, I've completely blanked out. My apologies. How silly of me, the neighbor said, suddenly looking flustered. Layla's mom gave her a confused look, then shrugged and continued unpacking boxes. Layla stared at the neighbor's back, puzzled. Why didn't she tell us her name? And why does she keep apologizing for not telling us her name? Layla thought it wasn't rude to ask someone's name when you just met them. And it wasn't rude to apologize for not knowing someone's name when you just met them either. So why did the neighbor apologize for not knowing her neighbor's name when they just met? It was weird, but Layla decided to ignore it. She was more interested in exploring her new home. As she walked around, she noticed that many street signs had no words on them. The buildings in the town square had no names. The books in the library had no titles. And Layla soon realized that not only objects but people didn't seem to remember things. Either she couldn't find anyone called William or Hazel or George anymore. It was like those names had disappeared from the world. At school, Layla told her classmates about her amazing bike, but when she asked their names, most of them looked at her in surprise. What do you mean? Don't you know? We're your friends, they said. Over the following weeks, strange things kept happening. Layla started to forget things herself. First, it was the color of her favorite backpack, then the name of her old school. Then, one morning, Layla woke up and forgot where her birthday. One day after school, while exploring the attic in search of an old photo for her birthday, Layla found a yellowed map of the city. On it, the streets and squares were marked, but the place names were missing. The word town wasn't even written anywhere. Yet all the roads led to a central point, a large tower in the center of the city. And in the smallest letters possible, it said, "Beware the curse of silence." A curse? What kind of curse? Why did everyone forget things? Why couldn't anyone remember the name of the city they lived in? Curious and determined, Layla resolved to solve the mystery. The next day, during recess, she went to the tower, which turned out to be much larger than she had imagined. Its rusty iron gate was locked, but the wall next to it had crumbled and Layla could walk through. The inside of the tower was pitch black and a strong draft blew from somewhere deep inside. Layla found a spiral staircase covered in cobwebs and took the first step. Creak! The stair groaned under her weight. As she climbed higher and higher, the air grew colder and Layla felt goosebumps form on her arms. When she finally reached the top, she found a small dusty room. An ancient oil lamp hung from the ceiling, but there was no electricity and the room was shrouded in darkness. Layla felt for a switch in the wall and clicked it on. The light revealed countless bookshelves packed with old leather-bound books. Excited, Layla opened one of them. It was filled with strange symbols and writings she couldn't understand. She tried another, then another, but none of them had readable text. Just as she was about to lose hope, she spotted a book lying open on one of the shelves. It was filled with faded ink, but the writing was neat and beautiful, and it seemed almost alive on the page. As Layla read, she learned that the city had once been a lively place with a rich history. There were merchants, travelers, artisans, and dreamers. People used to gather here, sharing stories and ideas until a mysterious sorcerer named Morgan came to the city. He was tall and dark and wore flowing robes. One day he declared that names carried great power and that remembering names meant remembering stories, and that was dangerous. So he put the entire city under a sleeping spell, causing everyone to forget not only the name of the city but also their own names and even some of their memories. Morgan wanted the city to become a place without stories, without names, and above all, without memories. And he guarded his spell with a powerful magic. Layla read on. To break the curse, someone had to remind the city of its forgotten past, reawaken its memory. But how? Layla pondered. What could she do to remind people of their stories and their names? Just then, a soft glow illuminated the open book. Startled, Layla looked up and noticed that the sunlight was streaming through a crack in the boarded-up window and landing directly on the book. Carefully, she lifted it. Under the light, the title shone brightly. The History of Hopewell. Hopewell. That was the name of the city. Layla closed her eyes. She had an idea. She hurried downstairs, raced across the courtyard, and climbed the tower again. This time, she quickly gathered all the books from the shelves. Each book contained part of the city's history. Layla placed them carefully on the floor. Holding the History of Hopewell, she stepped into the sunlight streaming through the window. As she read, the pages glowed with golden light. Suddenly, the tower shook violently. The bell in the tower, which had been silent for over 100 years, rang out loud and clear. Layla heard gasps and shouts from outside the tower. Peeking out the window, she saw townspeople running toward the tower. The old sorcerer, Morgan, stood among them. His face, usually hidden in shadows, was pale and drawn. In the light, "No," he whispered. "This can't be happening." Layla watched as he collapsed. With a tired smile, Layla descended the tower stairs. She was met by townspeople who cheered and thanked her for waking the city from its slumber. Layla noticed that the old sorcerer was no longer among them. Had he run away? Disappointed, she looked up at the tower. But a moment later, a man stepped out. He had gentle eyes and a friendly smile. "Are you the one who broke the curse?" Layla asked. "Yes," he replied. "And now I remember everything. My name is Elara. This city is Hopewell, and you, my dear, are its hero. You brought back our names, our memories, and our stories. Now we can start anew, and it's all because of you." In the days that followed, the signs reappeared. The books filled with words again, and people remembered birthdays, places, and dreams. The townspeople held a big festival in Layla's honor. Everyone participated, and even the shyest people told their stories. Layla was happy. She had helped restore the city's memory. But what would she do now? Where would she go next? When the festival ended, Elara approached her. "Would you like to stay in Hopewell, Layla?" "You can call me Elara." "Okay," Layla said, smiling. "I think I'll stay here for a bit. After all, it's now my home." And so Layla stayed in Hopewell, the city that remembers. She explored magical places, made wonderful friends, and learned that our names, our memories, and our stories are treasures. When we share them, we help others remember who they are. And that's why we tell stories. The end. Did you like the story? Tell us in the comments.